Hi guys, seniors. This is Mr. Evans. I hope you're doing well. Hope you're happy and healthy at home. I know this really stinks. You know, this is your senior year, and we had such awesome things planned for your last few months in high school, and I still don't know what's going to happen. With regard to that, like the end of the year, like how long the school closure is going to last. But I'm thinking about you, and I miss you, and I hope you're doing well. Some of us go back a really long way, right? 3 years, and not being able to see you through the end of your high school career is really rough. But hopefully, we'll be back at school at some point soon, and April 20th, and then we can go forward. But in the meantime, I don't want you to miss any of our disco lessons. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to. This is my house. This is my room. Lots of history stuff everywhere. I'm going to try to do in video form a lot of our what our lessons would have been, if you were in school, and yeah. So let's go for it. We left off. Bill Clinton, had been president for 2 years. He had a whole bunch of challenges that he had to deal with, and for a lot of people, especially Republicans, even though Bill Clinton had said he's a new Democrat, it actually was a much more liberal administration than they had expected. This is what Bill Clinton said, after the Republicans won control over Congress in 1994, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. He said the era of big government is over, and that's not something that you expect to hear from a Democratic president. But I think Clinton was just bowing to a new reality. Now that the Republicans were going to, have control over a lot of the government, led by Newt Gingrich, who became the Republican Speaker of the House after the Republicans won control of Congress in 1994. Okay, so let's get started. Now, Clinton's first 2 years were full of obstacles. We had the healthcare debacle, right? He put Hillary Clinton in charge of drafting a plan for universal healthcare. It didn't work out. It turned out to be a big mess. The Harry and Louise ads just killed any chance that Clinton would actually be able to get this passed, and it was never even put up for a vote, Hillary Care. So universal health care would have to wait. In fact, it's still waiting, right? We had the gays in the military thing. Remember, Clinton made that his first priority, which was, very risky politically. He raised taxes, right? Which is something that, stereotypically Democrats do. And it just reinforced that stereotype among people on the right. He passed gun control legislation, and there just seemed to be like an ineptitude in foreign policy. We expanded our mission to Somalia to feed hungry people there. And then we just basically began running around Somalia chasing warlords. 18 U.S. Marines were killed. If you've seen Black Hawk Down, that movie talks about that. That experience. Rwanda, Bosnia, which we're going to talk about in a later video. So Clinton was determined always to prove that he wasn't a typical liberal, even though those first couple of years of his administration contained some really liberal initiatives: universal health care, raising taxes, gun control. And he still embraced the cause of welfare reform, which was strongly supported by conservatives, even though he supported a weaker form of welfare reform than Republicans favored. He signed in 1994, and this is 25 years later, still a political hot potato. He signed the crime bill in 1994. Now, the crime bill is usually considered by liberals today to be to usher in the era of mass incarceration. It called for 100,000 new cops, prison construction, a 3 strikes law. So your third violent felony, you'd actually be sentenced to life in prison. A lot of new crimes were added to the federal, became federal crimes. So the number of federal inmates began skyrocketing after the crime bill was passed. But one thing to keep in mind about the crime bill is that in 1993, 1994, a lot of people, including a lot of Democrats and a lot of liberals, just basically said that, you know, we have to do something about crime. So the crime bill actually was supported by many liberals, including Bernie Sanders voted for the crime bill in 1994. You know, it was actually, ironically, considered a liberal piece of legislation because it contained the assault weapons ban. It also contained a program called Midnight Basketball, which Republicans hated, where it basically would have $76 million where the government would actually, you know, fund a program to have like an athletic league of some sort, you know, for teenagers. Republicans said kids should be at home, or, you know, the government should not be funding programs for them to play basketball at midnight. And Clinton's critics used a lot of, ignored these moves to the center, said he was like a big liberal, and they focused on a lot of the political scandals, which we talked about before school was over. Whitewater. Now, Whitewater, we talked about that Arkansas land deal where Clinton was accused of pressuring a banker to give an illegal loan to his real estate investment. And Whitewater, Special Prosecutor Ken Starr investigated Whitewater. He began investigating Clinton for the next 4 years, investigating almost everything about Bill Clinton, going from Whitewater, the land deal, ultimately culminating in 1998 with Bill Clinton, investigation to Bill Clinton's sex life. So Ken Starr was a continual thorn in the side of Bill Clinton throughout his administration. Now, the thing is that Starr originally was supposed to investigate Whitewater, but he began investigating so many other things, which we talked about, Travelgate, Filegate, you know, and ultimately Monica Lewinsky situation. Clinton was also being sued for sexual harassment by a woman named Paula Jones. Paula Jones accused Bill Clinton of making a sexual advance to her back when he was governor of Arkansas. And this became like a huge, huge deal because right-wing lawyers began, you know, signing up for Paula Jones's case, you know, thinking this was a way to embarrass Bill Clinton. And this case just dragged on and on for years. And this is ultimately how the Monica Lewinsky situation was discovered, because, you know, in the course of, you know, seeing whether in the course of Paula Jones suing Bill Clinton for sexual harassment, they began investigating Bill Clinton's sex life. And then, you know, he said he didn't have sexual relations with Monica. So that was the beginning of that whole situation, which lasted throughout 1998, which we're going to talk about in another video, or maybe in person. Let's hope. Now, Clinton's scandals received enormous coverage in the press in the 1990s. In one random week, in March 1994, there were 126 stories about the Bill Clinton scandals. Only 100, compare that to 107 on foreign policy, 56 on the Mideast, 42 on healthcare. So this got an enormous amount of coverage, Whitewater, and all the assorted Bill Clinton scandals. So it just contributed to this air of this feeling that Bill Clinton was corrupt. And I think it's important to keep that in mind when we try to look at what happened in 2016 and why the email issue was so toxic for Hillary Clinton. Because for a lot of people who remember the 1990s, it just triggered in their minds memories of all these other scandals. And that's why the issue was so damaging to Clinton. I guess if you don't have the context of the 1990s, it might seem like, why was email such a big issue? But you have to kind of remember what went down in the 1990s to kind of understand why that issue was so damaging. Now, Republicans sensed an opportunity to capitalize on Bill Clinton's troubles and to score politically. Now, Republicans were being led by a man named Newt Gingrich. Newt Gingrich was a congressman from Georgia. He became the Republican leader, and he drew up something called the Contract with America. And this contract with America, got 367 Republican candidates for Congress to sign the contract with America. And he said about the contract, Democrats call it the contract on America. He said, Gingrich, government is too big, too intrusive, too easy with the public's money, and we must return to a Congress that respects the values and faith of the American family. And the Contract of America was a wish list of conservative proposals: a balanced budget amendment to the Constitution, an amendment limiting Congress's ability to raise taxes, welfare reform, limits on lawsuits, cuts in taxes, a stronger defense. But it also focused on a lot of structural changes. It called for term limits for members of Congress, limits on how long someone could serve as a congressional chairman, regulatory reform. So if the government wants to pass an environmental regulation, for instance, they would have to weigh how much that would cost financially before they were actually allowed to get the regulation implemented. Tough welfare reform, where basically no benefits for unwed mothers under 18, no new benefits for additional children, strict time limits on how long you can be in welfare. It was far to the right of anything even Ronald Reagan had proposed in the 1980s. And we remember talking about Ronald Reagan in last semester. And interestingly, the Contract of America avoided a lot of like hot button cultural issues. Like it didn't get into abortion or gay rights or school prayer or anything like that. And Clinton was portrayed as a liberal in spite of what was really a centrist record with free trade, the emphasis on deficits, the push for welfare reform. Clinton was very pro-death penalty. So despite this, Clinton was painted by the Republicans as a left-winger. And Republicans mobilized gun control opponents who were really angry about Bill Clinton's passing of the Brady Bill and the assault weapons ban. Also mobilized a lot of Christian conservatives who viscerally hated the Clintons and felt they were the embodiment of liberalism run amok. And the thing is that Clinton had a low approval rating, and presidents usually do badly in their first midterm election anyway. But Clinton did, and the Democrats did very badly in the 1994 congressional elections. The Republicans gained 52 seats in the House of Representatives, regaining control of the House for the first time in 40 years. They gained 9 seats in the United States Senate. So Republicans now gained a majority in both houses of Congress. 73 new freshman Republicans were elected in 1994 on this, on this Contract with America proposal. Now, the thing is that they called it the Republican Revolution. The fact that they won control over Congress for the first time in decades. And the thing is that they definitely shifted American politics to the right and undermined Bill Clinton at every turn. For the rest of Bill Clinton's administration, for the next 6 years, Bill Clinton had to deal with this Republican Congress that really was determined to implement a very aggressive Republican agenda. So how was Bill Clinton going to find a way to survive politically, win re-election in 1996, but at the same time hold on to the liberal base, but also try to draw a contrast between him and the Republicans, Newt Gingrich and the Republicans who won control over Congress in 1994. That was going to be an enormous political challenge for Bill Clinton, and that's what we're going to talk about in subsequent videos. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to this video. I hope you guys are doing well. And again, I'm really sorry that this had to happen in your senior year. But I'm thinking about you. I miss you all, and I will see you in a subsequent video. I'll be posting videos every couple of days on this YouTube channel. And keep checking bg.charlesevans.net for announcements and for an assignment that I'm going to give you in a few weeks, but don't worry about that yet. All right, guys, take care. Bye bye.